Hello everybody, this is Mr. Storm. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a new course and how to tie the state standards to the content that you are building in your class. In my opinion, that's a best first step when creating a new course. That way, everything that you do in class can be tied to something that you are supposed to be teaching and that they will be tested on at the end of the school year or at the end of the semester. So, to create a new course, we can click Start a New Course. And I'm going to just make this a manually created course, and I will give this a name of Game Dev Template. So we can build a game development course, and this is going to be the template for my game development courses. Now, as soon as you create a course, the first thing that pops up is the course settings. We can go through these individually one at a time, but I'm going to just leave these alone for now. First, I want to bring in my state standards. So the best way to do this, first, I want to be familiar with the state standards. So if I open a new tab, I can go to USBE Game Development 1 Standards. And I've found them. So these are my Game Development Fundamentals 1 standards. It shows me what I'm supposed to be teaching. So history of video games, game ratings, evolution of gaming, communication features and game interface design, strategy and feedback. So these are all the things that I'm supposed to be teaching in the course. What I can do is I can set those standards as outcomes in my course. So if I go to my outcomes tab here, I can see that I have a menu to manage my outcomes, and I also have alignments. Notice that I have 0 outcomes and I have 0 alignable artifacts. Alignable artifacts are things like quizzes or assignments, rubrics that you build, and this menu will show you if the content that you've created is aligned with state standards, and this will show you how many standards you have. So I want to bring in the standards. Now I can go in and create them myself by clicking Create. I can enter the name of the standard, Standard 1, let me see. So it would be Strand 1, Standard 1, Relevant History. So I could type all of that in. I can write a description about that standard. I can enter a friendly description here. And then I can change what level I want to be proficiency. So let's say I want mastery to be at 3 points, exceeding mastery at 4, near mastery at 2, below mastery at 1. I can choose to use a decaying average, a specific number of times students have to meet mastery in order for it to be mastered. I can have a most recent score. So the most recent submission is their actual score for mastery. I can choose highest score, or I can choose an average. I like decaying average. What it does is basically it says the most recent result counts as 65% of the mastery weight. So if they've only tried this assignment once, then it'll be 100%. But if they try it twice, then the second attempt will be worth 65%, and the first attempt will be worth the 35%. If I tried it 5 times, then, 5 times right here, then that will be 65%, and these combined will be 35%. So your lower scores, or your earlier scores, kind of matter less and less the more you practice. So I can manually create standards here. But it's actually better, in my opinion, to import your standards if you have them in a CSV file. I'm just going to show you my game dev CSV file. Now, if you're unfamiliar, CSV files are comma-separated values files in Microsoft Excel. This is the format for CSV files. Basically, I have each standard. So this is a strand. So strand 1 as a group. Then I have the standard itself, the description. I have it set to decaying averages. My calculation percent is 65. Mastery is at 3, and out of a total of 5. So this is a CSV file. This may seem a bit complicated if you've never dealt with any kind of data entry using CSV files, but that's a very quick way to dump in all of your standards at once. Or what you could do is you can find the standard. So depending on when you're watching this video, there may be standards aligned for your class specifically that are already in our UMA account. So if I go to K-12 Evaluation Master, Utah Military Academy, notice that there's only CTE right now because that's what I've been loading CTE standards. But inside CTE, we have a couple of different classes. Game Dev 1 right there. All the standards are already loaded in. I can just choose this and click Add All Outcomes. And it's going to add all of the outcomes for this class as outcomes for my course. Pretty easy to do. All right. So if you're not finding the standards you want in Find, let me know, and I can quickly create a CSV file for your standards, and we can talk about what your whether you want decaying average and what you want mastery to be set at and all of that stuff. So now if I go to my alignments, notice I have 19 outcomes, 0% coverage because I haven't built anything yet. But I do have all of my standards in here ready to go. Okay. Now very quickly, I'm going to show you how we can use this. Let's build a quiz. So if I build a quiz, I'm going to choose new quizzes. Actually, you know what? We'll get into this whenever let's just build an assignment. This is easier. We're going to talk a lot about quizzes in another video. So let's say I want to build an assignment. I'm going to call this test. Actually, I'm going to call this, because test implies like a quiz. I'm going to call this random assignment. I'm going to make it due June 13th. Sure. It's going to be worth 5 points. We'll make it 20 points. And I'm going to click Save. Now inside this assignment, I can edit it so that I have I can give them a description of what they need to do, all of the things you already know how to do, which if you don't know how to do these things, we are going to get into these in another video. But the important part is down here in rubric. I can create a new rubric, and I can write random assignment as the rubric name. And instead of criterion, manually created criteria, I can choose find outcome. And I can find the outcome that I want to tie to this. Let's say I want relevant history to be one of the outcomes. And notice that it's bringing in my exceeds expectations, meets, and does not meet expectations as criteria for my for this assignment. And I can tie as many of these outcomes as I want to this specific assignment. For example, I said this assignment was a 20-point assignment, so I want to make sure I'm covering 4 standards in this assignment. So in this assignment, we're going to cover relevant history, game ratings, impact and evolution of gaming, and game strategy and feedback. That's worth 20 points. I'm going to use this assignment rubric for grading. Click Create Rubric. And now I have an assignment with a rubric that is aligned to state standards. And if I were to go back to outcomes, I can go to my alignments and I can see that these standards now have alignments. So I have the assignment itself and the rubric are both aligned to those outcomes. So I have a 21% coverage of my state standards. I have one alignable artifact, which is that assignment. 100% of my artifacts have alignments to state standards. Okay, so this is going to be really important for whenever you're trying to show, hey, this is what I'm teaching in class, and this is how they're aligned to state standards. Okay, so this is something that I'm going to use when developing classes, and in all of my videos teaching you how to build content, we are going to use this outcomes feature pretty heavily. All right, please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.